Hi again. Today I want to discuss with you passive aggressive behavior. We all have someone or know someone in our daily life who seems to always take an indirect jab whenever they get the chance. But first of all, why do people do this? What is the reason behind this kind of behavior? Well, passive aggressive behavior is often used by people who struggle with expressing their anger in a healthy way. Instead of communicating their feelings openly and honestly, they may resort to sarcasm, mockery, and other subtle forms of aggression to express their negative emotions. It's a maladaptive strategy that can harm relationships and create a toxic environment. So, before we dive into different types of passive aggressive behaviors, let's define what this is. This behavior is a way of dealing with negative feelings, particularly anger, by expressing them indirectly through passive means. It's a combination of passive and aggressive tendencies. A person may act passively by yielding to the desires of others while harboring resentment, or may behave aggressively without openly confronting the source of their anger. Now, people who frequently use passive aggressive behavior often have experienced difficulties expressing their true feelings in childhood due to various factors, such as being ignored, shamed, or punished for expressing their emotions. As a result, they learn to suppress their feelings and avoid open conflict. However, the unresolved anger continues to manifest itself in indirect ways such as sarcasm, procrastination, stubbornness, and intentional inefficiency. So, when faced with situations where they feel angry or frustrated, rather than communicating their feelings assertively, they engage in passive aggressive behaviors to express their negative emotions. This pattern persists into adulthood and becomes a habitual way of interacting with others. The person remains stuck in earlier developmental stages where they had learned these behaviors and finds it challenging to adopt healthier, more adaptive strategies for managing their anger. Well, there are many different types of passive aggressive behaviors, but here are some of the most common ones. First one, procrastination. Putting off tasks or assignments until the last minute to avoid doing them or cause inconvenience to others. Sarcasm, using irony and mockery to convey negative feelings instead of expressing them directly. Stubbornness, being inflexible and unwilling to compromise or cooperate, often over minor issues. Forgetfulness, for example, intentionally forgetting appointments or plans made by others to disrupt their schedule or cause inconvenience. Intentional inefficiency, doing things slowly or making mistakes to avoid completing tasks quickly or correctly. The main goal here is to cause annoyance or frustration to others. Another one, spreading rumors, gossiping or spreading false information about others to damage their reputation or create conflict. Backhanded compliments, giving compliments that are actually disguised insults or criticisms. For example, saying something like, "Oh, you look great for your age," to an older person. Another one, procrastination, intentionally delaying or blocking others from completing their tasks or goals. For example, withholding information or resources that someone else needs to do their work. Another one, stubbornness, arguing or debating for the sake of being disagreeable or causing conflict. For example, refusing to accept a reasonable explanation or solution and deliberately finding fault with others' ideas. Another one, backstabbing, criticizing or denouncing someone to their face and then speaking negatively about them behind their back. And the last one is pouting, exhibiting childish behavior such as sulking, whining, or refusing to participate to express displeasure. All these types of behaviors can be very frustrating and annoying to deal with, especially when it becomes a habit of the person. So now we will talk about how to deal with people who constantly use passive-aggressive behavior. First of all, setting boundaries is important. Let the person know that their behavior is unacceptable and has consequences. For example, if they make a snide remark, calmly and assertively tell them that their comment was inappropriate and that you won't tolerate such remarks. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it's important to stand up for yourself and not let their behavior slide. If their passive aggressive behavior continues, it may be necessary to distance yourself from the person or limit your interactions with them. Your mental well being and peace of mind are essential, and you shouldn't have to tolerate constant negativity and disrespect in your relationships. The second tip, don't take it personally. Remember that their behavior is a reflection of their own unresolved issues and emotional immaturity, not your worth or value. Try not to let their comments or actions affect your self esteem or cause you distress. Maintain your dignity and composure by not engaging in arguments or trying to defend yourself against their jabs. Another important thing is avoid engaging. Don't feed into their need for attention or validation. By engaging with them or trying to reason with them, you may inadvertently reinforce their behavior. Stay calm and composed and don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you react negatively to their comments. If they provoke you by saying something sarcastic or mocking, simply ignore it and change the subject. They thrive on reactions. So, by not giving them any, you deprive them of the attention they seek. The next step is communicate assertively. If their behavior is directed towards you, express your feelings and set boundaries calmly and assertively. Use I statements to explain how their behavior affects you without blaming or attacking them. For example, say something like, "I feel disrespected when you speak to me sarcastically. I would appreciate it if you could communicate with me in a more respectful manner." While it's unlikely that a truly passive-aggressive person will listen or change their ways, attempting to communicate with them is still a good idea. It allows you to express your perspective and maintain your integrity. Even if it doesn't lead to a resolution, it provides closure for you. And remember that forgiveness is a powerful tool. Holding on to anger or resentment will only hurt you in the end. Forgive the person for their behavior and move on. This doesn't mean condoning or excusing their behavior, but rather releasing the negative emotions associated with it. You may even consider practicing compassion towards them, understanding that their behavior may stem from their own pain or unresolved issues. By practicing forgiveness and compassion, you free yourself from the burden of negativity and create space for more positive relationships in your life. Finally, focus on self-care. Prioritize your mental and emotional well-being by engaging in activities that bring you joy, relaxation, and a sense of fulfillment. Spend time with supportive friends and family members. Practice mindfulness or meditation, or engage in hobbies and interests. By nurturing yourself and building a strong support system, you can better cope with the challenges of dealing with passive-aggressive people and reduce the impact of their behavior on your overall well-being. Well, those were some of the tips on how to deal with people who use passive-aggressive behavior, but please remember that you are not responsible for fixing or changing another person. If someone consistently exhibits passive-aggressive behavior, it's important to recognize that you can't force them to change. Ultimately, it's their choice to acknowledge their behavior and seek personal growth. On the other hand, don't blame yourself for reacting negatively to their behavior. It's natural and understandable to feel hurt, angry, or frustrated when someone treats you dismissively or disrespectfully. Your feelings are valid and should be acknowledged. Don't let anyone, including yourself, make you feel guilty or ashamed for prioritizing your own emotional well-being and setting boundaries. You deserve to be treated with respect and kindness, and it's essential to surround yourself with people who reciprocate those qualities. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends.